Without further ado, please welcome Hudson High School alum, class of 1986, Jacob Walthour.
Are you talking about me? Thank you, folks. Got a little choked up listening to Mr. Lacasse talk about my history. Got a little choked up because the man who was there every step of the way from the time I came out of the womb to the time I took my first steps, who encouraged me to do everything that I did in life and never, ever let me quit anything I started, my dad wasn't here to hear it. We lost him in December to the COVID virus, and I just want to take a second to thank him. I know he's looking down on me, and I dedicate this speech tonight to him. You know, it feels really good just to be out. I don't know about you, but I was getting really tired of wearing a mask. I was getting really tired of being on Zoom, and I was getting really tired of wearing sweatpants. And, you know, in some ways, you know, when I think about kind of what we've come through over the course of the last, 16 plus months, I said, wow, this must have been what it felt like when they signed the Emancipation Proclamation, or when someone was truly freed from bondage. I mean, we spent a very, very long period of time cooped up in our houses. And, here we are right now, right here amongst one another, watching the class of 2021 receive the honors that they're due. And for me, and I don't know about you, it was a very scary year. But again, we're here. It was a very frustrating year. But again, we're here. It was a very painful year and a very tearful year. But again, we're here. And I think, right now, when you think about all that we've come through, right now, what really matters is that we're all here. We've endured, we fought, we battled, and together, mother, father, grandmother, community, students, we got through this. And we now have a graduating class of 2021. There is an old proverb in Africa that says, it takes a village to raise a child. And as I stand here today, I say with great pride that I am really glad to be from this village. This village raised me, and I am glad to see that this village is still producing some of the finest young leaders that this city, this county, this state, this country, and this world will come to know in Hudson High School's class of 2021. When I say I come from this village, when I came in the door, I was immediately greeted by Robin Stever, and then I saw Mindy Hoyt, and then I saw Miss Frances Hughes, who's like a second mother, and Miss Jean Peterson, who's like a second mother. And they're all relatives of people who are graduating here today. And, I want you to know that all of my dreams, all of the things that Mr. Lacasse talked about, they started right here in the city of Hudson. And I know it might seem like I've risen to such a level that I don't remember where I came from. I will always remember where I came from. The city of Hudson and Hudson, New York, and I hope that you all remember where you came from too. It was this village that started me on my way. And as much as I give my parents credit for doing a great job, there were hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who shaped and molded Jacob Walthour Jr. into what he became. There were my siblings and other family members. Your classmate, Mark Williams, just happens to be my cousin. And his mother and his mother's father were very instrumental in my life. Victor Gorman, I don't know if you know it, but I know your family, and your family has been synonymous with great baseball for over 40 years in this town. Pierre Rice, I'm not sure if you know it, but it was your grandfather who was the first inspiration to me as a young African American, who told me that I could believe in myself and become a successful African American businessman. Hayden Rubino, I'm not sure if you know this, but your mother, Leslie, it was Porpa then, it's now Rubino. In school and today, she wasn't just a friend, she was a sister. And I'm very familiar with what you wrote to her on Mother's Day. You said to her, "You are the best mom a kid could ever hope for." And I just want you to know that I know her well enough that I agree. She is the best mom that you could hope for. Tanner Race, Tanner Jacob Race. And this one's really hard for me. I know you know this, but I need to say it. You too had the best mom a child could ever ask for. I had the privilege of graduating with your mom 35 years ago across this stage. Lynn was very special to me. And again, like Leslie, she wasn't a classmate, she was a sister. I miss her voice, I miss her smile, I miss her hugs. She was then, and she is now, an angel. And Tanner, you are my hero, you are my MVP, and you always will be. I'll tell you a funny story about your mom. You know, she was very much a part of my village, as was Leslie. And when I entered high school, I was a very funny-looking individual. I had really big ears and buck teeth. Some would say that my head had not quite grown yet. And so by the time I became a sophomore, I guess my head grew and I became a little bit more attractive. And so I started getting attention. And, you know, one day, you know, being my usual kind of athletic, arrogant self, I was sitting on the radiator with the cool kids, or so I thought. And Lynn and Leslie came up to me, and Lynn said, "Mr. Walthour, I need to speak to you." And I was like, wow, she's calling me Mr. Walthour. That must be pretty serious. I looked at Leslie, and she looked at me like I was in trouble. And so I said, maybe I ought to kind of walk with them and find out kind of what I've gotten myself into. And you have to really picture this to appreciate it. I'm 6'2" in black, and I've got a 5'1" white woman on this side and a 5'1" white woman on this side, and I'm the one who looks scared, right? So finally, you know, walking down the hall far enough, I said, you know, I can't take this anymore. What did I do? So Lynn says to me, it's not what you did, it's what you're doing. And I said, what am I doing? She says, you're exercising poor judgment. And so I looked at Leslie, and Leslie said, yeah, you're exercising poor judgment. I said, well, why don't you tell me how I've exercised poor judgment? She said, I don't like your taste in women. And then I looked at Leslie and said, yeah, we don't like your taste in women. And so before I could even open my mouth, Lynn said, let me stop you right there. Going forward, Leslie and I have decided that we're going to decide who you're allowed to date. And going forward, you make a proposal to us, and we'll tell you whether or not we approve. Needless to say, I went from my sophomore year to my senior year without a date. I must have made 11 or 12 proposals, and they just wouldn't approve any. And so we got to the point where we were having our senior picnic. I don't know, do you still have senior picnics? You didn't get one this year? I'm sorry. So I spoke to Lynn and Leslie at the senior picnic, and I was talking to them. We had a great conversation. I said, you know, I'm going to go over there and rap to Carmen. And they said, okay. And I was like, okay. And they said, yeah, okay. You can go talk to her. And I said, well, you never approved of anyone else over the course of the last 3 years. Why do you approve of this? And they said, you don't get it. We just wanted to make sure you got out of high school. And we knew that you were going to get distracted. And we always talked to you about your dreams, and you were the biggest dreamer we knew. And so we said that we're going to do our part in making sure you, Jacob Walthour, get the start that you need once you leave Hudson High School. And so Hayden and Tanner, I am forever grateful to your mothers for protecting me and allowing me to leave here in a good place so that I could launch my career. You know, I have 4 kids of my own, and I've sat through 3 graduations, and hopefully, God willing, in 4 years, I'll graduate another. And I really, really love my kids, and they are my favorite pastime. But I got to tell you, kids are a little different nowadays. It always seems to be about them. On your birthday, it's about them. On Father's Day, it's about them. On Mother's Day, it's about them. And I want you to know, class of 2021, today it's about you. But I think we have a couple of housekeeping items that we need to take care of. And the first of which, I think, is just to say thank you. Thank you to all of those who are part of your village. Your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your neighbors, school administrators, doctors, teachers, coaches, friends. Saying those 2 powerful words, you will never regret. Now, I know that some of you made it very easy for teachers, for parents, for grandparents, for the community, and some of you made it a little harder. So when nobody's looking, make sure you pull someone aside and say, I'm sorry. Maybe I made some misjudgments. Maybe I showed a little immaturity. Maybe I caused a little pain and frustration, maybe even help generate a few tears. But do yourself that. Make sure you say, I'm sorry. In every village, there were some who cared so much about your future that they never gave up on you. And because of them, you're probably here today. For this, I hope you say to that group of people when you get the time, I love you. You see, your village has invested in you and cared for you and loved you. Why? They rooted for you. Why? They cheered for you. They taught you. Why? The answer is one I promise you you're going to like. Because for the last 18 years of your life, they've made it about you. They wanted you to have the foundation for limitless success and the skills necessary for you to achieve your dreams. They wanted you to realize the American dream, defined by the founders of our democracy as life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I repeat, they wanted you to realize the American dream, defined by our founders of this democracy as life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I know in an era of politics and race and inequality, the whole concept of the American dream can be controversial. We're in the middle of a very serious period in history. Who has time to dream? Some of us even think that the American dream is a fictional concept, and just that, a dream, and only kids believe that dreams come true. I ask all of you, not just the graduates of 2021, every man, every woman, every child, every him, her, they, sorry, I'm not totally up to all the pronouns, to buy into this concept. Whether you're 6 or 60, to dismiss the doubts that dreaming doesn't make sense, to expunge the excuses that dreaming doesn't make sense, to throw away the thinking and embrace your dream. Whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, you should dream. Whether you're a liberal, a moderate, or a conservative, you should dream. Whether you're a Christian, Jewish, or a Muslim, you should dream. Whether you are black, white, Native American, Latinx, or Asian, you should dream. Whether you are rich, middle income, or poor, you should dream. Whether you were born here or whether you were born in another nation, you should dream. Whether you speak English or you speak Mandarin, you should dream. If there's one thing I want to leave you with, it's the importance of dreaming. When I was a child, I watched my parents dream. And I know that concept really doesn't make a lot of sense. Parents dreaming? Yes. I'm a big believer that no one should ever stop dreaming. I have children, but I still dream. Neither of my parents graduated from high school, but they didn't stop embracing their dream. My dad was born in the Deep South and had suffered the worst racism had to offer, but he never stopped dreaming. My mom's mom died when she was in the 11th grade, and she had to take care of 8 siblings, but she never stopped dreaming. Together, they had 3 children, but they didn't stop dreaming. They had dreams of owning a home. They bought one house, then another, and then another. They had dreams for their children. They whipped our butts. They made us respect adults, told us we should never dabble in drugs, made sure we didn't break the law, and forced us to go to college. They dreamed of owning a business when they were in their 40s. Now think about that. Who in their 40s really thinks about doing something that risky, that exciting? In their 40s, they did. And they had 35 years of business success together. I saw my parents dream, so I embraced the whole concept of dreaming. And important that you take away from my accomplishments is something that wasn't on the piece of paper that Mr. Lacasse read. My dreams were not born in London, where I've traveled to. My dreams were not born in Tokyo, where I've traveled to. My dreams were not born anywhere else but right here, in a little decrepit house on 3rd Street, between State Street and Columbia. Back then, I saw myself being a successful businessman. Yes, on 3rd Street here in Hudson, New York, I dreamed. Yes, here at Hudson High School, I dreamed. On the same playgrounds that you played on, I dreamed. On the same streets that you walked, I dreamed. Wearing the same uniforms that you wore, I dreamed. I saw myself being a successful businessman. I wanted to work on Wall Street. People told me I was foolish. People told me I was childish. People told me that it just didn't make sense given my background. Here I was, the descendant of slaves and sharecroppers, but I wanted to work on Wall Street. My family had experienced the pain of discrimination for 350 years, but I wanted to work on Wall Street. One of my grandparents drank himself to death, and 3 died before I even got a chance to know them, and I wanted to work on Wall Street. Neither of my parents graduated from high school, and I wanted to work on Wall Street. There I was in this tiny little apartment, inside of a decrepit house, and I wanted to work on Wall Street. We had mice in our apartment, and I wanted to work on Wall Street. I woke up every day to check the mice traps in the morning so my mother and sister didn't have to see them, and I wanted to work on Wall Street. I swept sidewalks, I cleaned horse stalls, I picked pumpkins, I delivered newspapers, I even trapped animals for money. And I had dreams of working on Wall Street. And you want to know what I did? I got to Wall Street. So if any of you are thinking that you can't get to where you want to go from here, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. And I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my parents. I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of my experiences. I'm proud of being a graduate of Hudson High School. So I say to you, class of 2021, Embrace your dreams. Right now, tonight, tomorrow, the day after, and the day after. Please don't tell yourself, I can't. Please don't say, I'm a woman, so I can't. Please don't say, I'm gay, so I can't. Please don't say, I had bad grades, so I can't. Please don't say, my family situation is such, so I can't. Please don't say, I have a child, so I can't. Please don't say, I'm overweight, so I can't. Please don't say, I'm a Muslim, so I can't. Please don't say, I'm a woman, so I can't. Please don't say, I can't. Say, I can. Say, I can. So if you dreamed of being a nurse, you can. If you dreamed of playing baseball, you can. If you dream of being an artist, you can. If you dream of defending your country, you can. If you dream of owning a new car, you can. If you dream of losing weight, you can. If you dream of taking a dream vacation, you can. If you dream of being in a strong, committed relationship, you can. If you dream of running for office, you can. If you dream of retiring, you can. Everything you need is inside of you, and it begins with your dream. So, class of 2021, I ask you, please do not waste what God gave you. Members of the village, you should dream too. Please do not waste what God gave you. Embrace your dream and show us all that you can. Thank you.